What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Yesterday, we had a major announcement and shakeup for Microsoft when it comes to the future of Halo, as 343 has undergone an entire transformation, apparently, and now it seems like they're even changing engines. All of this leading towards maybe a brighter future for Halo, but we'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Ubisoft, as there are whispers of them maybe seeking a buyout, but one big piece of news that came out seems to be a potential 2025 release that has fans actually excited about a Ubisoft game. And then we also have Nintendo with some concerns around behind-the-scenes stuff when it comes to investment and even ownership of Nintendo, but we'll cover that here today. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the SpawnWave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button down below this video. And we're gonna start today with Silent Hill 2, as reviews did go live last week, and it seemed to shock many people out there. And I'll admit, even I was a little surprised when it came to the aggregate score here over on Metacritic, which we can see currently sitting at an 87. Now, this is on 57 critic reviews for the PS5 version. The PC version had 7 reviews at an 86. But for the most part, people seem very happy. Okay, critics seem very happy. Here's the thing, though. The game is technically live now if you have that deluxe edition, which I believe is like $10 more than the regular edition. So people are playing it now and seem to be getting a kick out of it online. Just anecdotal stuff I see on Twitter, for example, on my timeline. People seem very happy with some of the opening hours that they've played. We know the game is roughly 16 to 18 hours long, so yes, this would be like the first few hours that people are experiencing. But even looking at some of the technical breakdowns, it does seem like Bloober Team took it very seriously in terms of still trying to pay homage to the original one and trying to keep that feel as much as possible, since a lot of that original feel was also held up by some of the technical limitations that the PlayStation 2 had, and some of the workarounds with things like the fog and other fixed camera angle stuff that really, I think, lent to some of the uneasiness that you felt through the entirety of that game. It's been a long time since I played Silent Hill 2 on the PS2, literally going back to like the first few years that it was out, but I am going to be picking this one up and going back through it here, this time with Bloober Team at the helm, so we'll see what they have. Also, we've been talking about this prolonged cross-gen period that seems to be taking a bit of the luster away from the current generation with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series. It just, something about when you see the PS4 logo appear 4 years into this generation, it's like, oh, that's still a thing, huh? Well, seems like other third-party companies like Sega even, which we can see this posted up over on IGN, they say Sonic team producer Takashi Iizuka, meanwhile, is keeping his focus on the previous generation. He says that he wants as many people as possible to play Sonic games, which means continuing to support the PS4, which still boasts a very large fan base. As we remember, very recently, Sony even said, yeah, about half of the current user base for PlayStation is on PS4 still. Now, I assume that number will continue to shift towards the PS5, especially over this holiday season, when typically a bunch of newer consoles would sell. But I wouldn't be shocked now thinking about this going into even 2027 with a PS4 logo appearing, which is just wild to think about. But we do already have 2026 PS4 games, so with Sega continuing to put out these Sonic games that, they go like remaster or remake, then they go like new one, then maybe a spin-off, then remaster, remake. Wouldn't be shocked if they had that PS4 logo sitting there in 2027, which, maybe we'll still be talking about the PS4 when the PlayStation 6 gets announced. Oh, and with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero right around the corner, I wanted to point out another highlight for this game, if it just hasn't been all the awesome trailers and fan service they've thrown out there with the game. The file size, take a look. This is posted up by DBS Hype, saying Sparking Zero downloadable sizes are, well, 27 gigabytes on the PS5, 31 on the Xbox, 29 on Steam, which for many AAA games is the size of some patches. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's really funny that we're to the point where we're like, wow, 27 gigabytes is tiny. I mean, but we see so many games now approach 100 gigabytes, exceed that even at times, 150 gigabytes. Look at Call of Duty, which is going to have a harder time soon, I think, fitting on the Xbox Series S drive. So it's a breath of fresh air, of course, to see file sizes like this, but even, again, 10 years ago or so, this would have seemed large. But that's just kind of where we are now. But Fortunately, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero won't take too long to download when it comes out this week. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Ubisoft, who's certainly been going through it right now. Their value of their company over the last 4 years or so is down about 77%, and this has led to questions around how they are continuing to be relevant or even just solvent. And part of that comes down to maybe going private, like taking their public company and then just bringing in inward, basically being a private company. And that would allow them to be a bit more fluid with decision making, a bit more agile. And part of that would be them looking towards a partner like Tencent, who already owns a sizable amount of Ubisoft when it comes to just the public share float. Well, with that, I talked about over the weekend. You could check that out on Saturday. But there's something else coming out of this, and this has been Tom Henderson, who's really been following this very closely with many sources seemingly at Ubisoft. And part of this has to do with their near-term roadmap, okay? And there's a game in here that people got very, very excited to hear. Could actually be closer than expected. We can see this posted up over on Insider Gaming, where they say, when rumors of the Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake began to circulate on the internet, many, including ourselves, assumed that the game would still be some years away from releasing. However, new details and documentation on the game sent to Insider Gaming under the condition that it does not go public suggest that the game is well into development and could be released much sooner than we all thought. The Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake, codenamed Obsidian, was to be released around November 2025, which would be around the same time that the series' multiplayer offering, codenamed Invictus, is to be released. This is part of Ubisoft's ramp-up strategy. That's right. I say ramp-up strategy for the Assassin's Creed series, which we'll see around 10 Assassin's Creed titles of various lengths and experiences released in the next 5 years. So about 2 Assassin's Creed games per year. Some of them, as mentioned, will be smaller, might be just multiplayer as Invictus, or like remakes of previous ones. And we've seen Ubisoft already kind of do that at times, but for Assassin's Creed to hear ramp up, it feels like we already get a lot of Assassin's Creed. This is going to the next level. This is Ubisoft doubling down and being a bit safer with some of their investments in game development. And that's what we've talked about before. As these projects become more and more expensive, you become a bit more conservative as a company when it costs so much money to make even a remake or a remaster. In this case, though, Assassin's Creed Black Flag makes a lot of sense. It's one of the games in the Assassin's Creed franchise that people don't groan when it comes up on screen, because it's like a fan favorite. I mean, when you look back on when it came out, and I do remember this quite well with like the 360, for example, where I played it, it was this incredible experience of merging like pirates with assassins, and just that alone on paper sounds awesome. But then they actually pulled it off with a really good game that, while it came out in 2013, we also did technically get it on like the Xbox One and the PS4 and stuff, where it just played and ran better, and eventually on the Switch. It's still, if you go back and play it now, it has aged. Like, I could see how they could say go back to Assassin's Creed Black Flag and dress it up a bit, refine some of the controls, modernize some of that stuff, and then it would release as an incredible experience. And in fact, that is one of those remake remasters that I actually would like to see. I know we talk about getting too many of those, but it does also come back to which game they're doing that with and how much work it could use. And I think Black Flag could actually use some work and would be an awesome thing to see. Here's the problem now. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been pushed into 2025 to start off the year, and it's possible now that we could see Obsidian or Black Flag Remake get pushed into 2026. I'm hoping that's still the plan, to have it in November 2025 and still do multiplayer. 3 Assassin's Creed games in 1 year, but Black Flag would be awesome to have that released, and I would certainly play right back through it, no questions asked. But let me know if that is indeed your favorite Assassin's Creed, since that was actually the poll question, and we'll see what the audience thinks. Next up, let's talk about a massive shakeup that is hitting Microsoft, Xbox, and Halo. First, we will start with an announcement I saw that we just have to bring up here. And all this was happening with a big Halo event over the weekend. It's like a big championship event. But we can see this over on their official X account, where they say, experience a new way to play. Third-person mode is coming to Halo Infinite this November. They have some shots of it here in third person. It's just absolutely disgusting. Okay, so a little bit of the Halo purist in me coming out there, but at this point, they're just trying to experiment, I think, with Infinite. They're trying out new things to see what people like, what they don't like, and I have to imagine this is going to be a game type on its own, because third person does have advantages over first person in the sense that you can look around corners by swinging the camera. There's obviously a much larger field of view as to what you can see. It can also have some disadvantages, like, for example, I mean, you still zoom in to first person to have fine-tuned shots, so it's a bit of give and take there, but there are many people who just like third person, so they figure, why not? Let's see what happens here, and yeah, that could also work into plans for future Halo games, which actually was the big finale for this event. See, they put out this video here called A New Dawn, and in this video, they went over all kinds of plans and changes they were making internally for the future of Halo. And this is a big deal because it has felt like Halo has kind of gone on the back burner for Microsoft, but actually completely different here. It seems like they went back to the drawing board a bit and started to work out some of their problems that they had with Infinite and have responded. So the big change here is that they are indeed moving to Unreal Engine. Specifically, they name Unreal Engine 5, and they show off what they've been able to accomplish here with Foundry. This was a research project that started 2 years ago to help set up a foundation for this new engine, or newish engine. I'm sure many of them are at least familiar with it in some regard, since they're also going on a massive hiring spree right now, and it's probably a lot more interesting to people when they go, you're not going to use Slipspace, which is this proprietary engine that people kept bringing up as a problem within 343. You're going to use the tried and true Unreal Engine that you've probably already used elsewhere, just here now with different Halo projects. And they spent time showcasing this in their New Dawn video, and that's probably the most exciting part here, for me anyway, seeing it, is one, the accelerated development that they should get from Unreal Engine. Again, a known platform, one that people coming in won't have to spend half their contract learning, and that's a big thing with 343 and Microsoft. They do a lot of contract positions, which means people come in for so many years and then they're gone, but maybe the first half of that time period was them just trying to get a handle on Slipspace because they don't use it anywhere else. So you would need more like tenured people here working with Slipspace in order to get it done right. So this at least plays in, I think, a bit better for what they're trying to do here with how they're doing hiring and contract positions. And then also on top of that, they won't have to focus on maintaining or building the engine. They could just focus on development, creativity, ideas, and things for multiplayer. There's a whole new avenue here of focus that I think opens up for them, and that to me is very hopeful for them going forward. Now, they do mention that they would like it to be best-in-class visuals, like how Halo was when it first came out on the original Xbox. They even mentioned like a showcase, and in doing so, they show us 3 different biomes: Pacific Northwest, snow, or like a winter biome, and then Blightland, which is like a big flood area. And if you played Halo Infinite, having more than one biome is a big deal, and that is kind of sad, but as I've mentioned, it's very clear there are development issues on that, as the game itself felt like 2 games kind of stapled together in the middle. So there you go. We at least have multiple biomes being shown off here, and I will say the environments do look impressive. They also showed Master Chief, who looks good. I mean, okay, visually speaking, it looks very sharp. Something about it, though, it looked a little too clean, maybe. Again, this is like in development, like footage and stuff, like that could be changed up slightly. It just looked like it just came out of the wash or something, and it looked like he wasn't really scuffed up or anything. I don't know. It looked a little off in that regard, but I do think in terms of visuals, it looks great. And here's the big thing: 343 has now been renamed to Halo Studios. Their hiring is ramping up. They have multiple projects in the works. And the big one that I think could be in the works right now, and it would make a lot of sense, especially since they've been doing this for about 2 years now. So another 2 years would be like a 4-year cycle. I do think rebooting Halo and doing a remake of the first Combat Evolved to get things set up and maybe off in the direction they would like, probably the best bet. And here's the other interesting avenue: if they can have that ready for holiday 2026 to go along with this new Xbox platform that apparently is launching around that time, at least that's the rumor that's going around, they can technically reenact the original Xbox release and Halo, all that coming out at the same time in 2001 for the 25th anniversary of both. To me, it just lines up really, really well. Here's hoping that UE5 accelerated development versus Slipspace can get it there. So here's my thing now, looking at all of this. I do feel hopeful now for the future of Halo, but I'm not ready to go all in and be like, oh yeah, they figured it out. This is great. No problems at all. Because 343, now Halo Studios, really hasn't earned the benefit of the doubt with pretty much anything they've released at this point, with Halo Infinite being the most recent debacle. Remember, that got delayed after we saw Craig, and it was a whole thing there. Missed the Xbox Series launch despite Master Chief being on the box itself, the packaging. Again, a whole thing. So if they can pull this one off, great, I will evaluate it then. But up until that point, I am skeptical. But I am definitely more hopeful now versus just a few days ago, really for the simple thing of, wow, Microsoft didn't forget about Halo. They've legitimately been working on it. Big shakeup internally, though. Bonnie Ross out about 2 years ago when they made the shift to Unreal Engine. So maybe Pierre Heinz can actually get this thing back on track with the next big release for Halo. So here's hoping that's all set up nicely for a console launch and a brand new Halo game all at the same time. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about some behind the scenes stuff with Nintendo that seem to have people kind of concerned, more so than I would expect on this one, which we can see this over on Nintendo Life, where they say, speaking in an interview with Japanese news agency Kyoto News, vice chair of the PIF's gaming unit, that being the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, revealed the desire to expand, but said that there's no urgency to make further investments and that any increased stake will be made in a friendly manner. That, in regard to Nintendo, they currently own 8.58% of Nintendo. So they've been buying stock over time, and it is the largest outside investor in the company. Now, here's the thing with Nintendo. There are many big firms, investment firms, that own large chunks of Nintendo, but not at the level of the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. Like BlackRock has 2.5% or something, for example. So yeah, the PIF has a bit more, we'll say, than BlackRock. But they also have minority stakes in Nexon, over 10%, Koei Tecmo at 9%, and Capcom at 6.6%. The big one, though, is they do own basically all of SNK, right? So I don't look at this and go, oh, well, yeah, obviously Saudi Arabia is trying to move in and own Nintendo. Not at all. I think at this point, they're looking to diversify more and more with the large amount of money that they have. And they're looking at Nintendo going, hey, they got a new system most likely coming out next year. Why don't we buy stock now and continue our investment into this company that will most likely do really, really well when this new system comes out? So yeah, let's move money over. It's just moving money around, trying to protect from like inflation or just continue to grow large assets. So that's kind of how I don't think they're going, oh, we're going to slowly build up and then before they know it, we'll take over. I don't think they want to do that. They don't want to run Nintendo. They just want to make money off of Nintendo. That's kind of it. So I wouldn't think too much more outside of that. They even mentioned, oh yeah, we would basically talk with Nintendo if we increased our stake any further than the roughly 8.5% we have now. Remember, Nintendo mentioned we didn't know they bought much stock at all until we saw it on the news ourselves. That's kind of the thing with the publicly traded company. You can pretty much buy stock whenever, and then Nintendo just kind of accepts it. So that's kind of where it ends here. We'll see if they increase their stake. But again, I'm not expecting them to increase their stake and then all of a sudden show up running the board meetings in the future. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, these are the highest rated Assassin's Creed games according to Metacritic. Which one do you think is the best? Okay, Assassin's Creed Black Flag is 53%, although Assassin's Creed 2 at 27%, there are many people who say it's their favorite one because it was a massive leap from the first Assassin's Creed. It was kind of like Uncharted to Uncharted 2. That was Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2. It was awesome. I mean, when that game came out, it was incredible stuff. Black Flag, though, again, a lot of fun. Then it goes Brotherhood, Odyssey, and then Origins, all the way at the bottom there, 5%. So, again, the fan favorite with Black Flag seems poised to make a return here in the next year or so. Here's hoping it's 2025, because I think that would genuinely give people something to be excited about for Ubisoft, and it's been a while since we've had something like that. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Everett, who says, I keep hearing the industry required a paradigm shift and new business models to be viable. Zelda and Astrobot are selling fine. Seems like the traditional model is working just fine. Well, I will say this, Astrobot, its sales seem okay. Like, it doesn't seem to be lighting the sales charts on fire or anything like that. And it's hard to compare a Zelda or a Mario with anything else in the industry because we all recognize those are some of the most powerful, most well-known IPs in the industry. So we expect those to do much better than anything else. It really comes down to studios that are like just aren't known that well, or maybe a brand new IP in the AAA space. Can they still make an impact and find themselves in the market with sales that are enough to support them, because it seems like even with EA backing some, like what we saw with Ascendant Studios and Immortals of Avium, that just kind of came and went, and then they laid off just about everyone, and new IP wasn't able to enter the AAA market. And that's the thing. You start seeing how big the risk is, and many just don't even try. So that's kind of the issue we're at now, is can we still have new IPs enter the market successfully on a regular cadence, or is it really that difficult to break into the industry to where it's like 1 out of every 10 is able to make it, and even less than that is able to have a massive explosion of sales, something like a Black Myth Wukong. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed Friday's Newswave, I will leave it up here in a card, or maybe you wanted to see what $45 getting you 45 games actually gets you. I took a look at that actually over the weekend, and I'll leave it right below it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.